What if Maria LaGuerta could have beaten Dexter Morgan in open court with one small procedural change tied to a single receipt? The moment in season 7, episode 1, when she bends at the burned church and finds a blood slide the Bay Harbor butcher should not be making anymore. Stay with me, because I will show exactly how logging that slide through a blind external chain would have forced a wedge between Dexter and Deborah, and why that wedge is the domino her case actually needed. This is commentary and critique for education and entertainment. Major spoilers ahead. Lights flicker over scorched pews. Heat haze trembles above the altar. LaGuerta's gloved hand lifts glass from ash and her face hardens, like she just heard a ghost say James Dokes. Comment below with one episode plus your one-line fix for LaGuerta's strategy. I will test the best takes against receipts as we go. The stakes are brutal. If LaGuerta is right, Miami Metro's quiet hero is the Bay Harbor butcher. If she is wrong, she smears a dead sergeant and destroys her own career. The suspects are not people, they are choices. Choice 1, keep the slide in-house, confide in old allies, and manage the politics. Choice 2, lock it down through a blind evidence stream that bypasses every friendship Dexter can exploit. Receipt 1 is our fulcrum. Season 7, Episode 1, LaGuerta finds a pristine blood slide at the Travis Marshall scene, a signature detail never released to the public. The camera lingers long enough to let you feel the weight. There is your legal vector. A non-public signature recurs. The correct next step was not quiet office whispers. It was an external blind submission under a dummy case number, so nobody at Miami Metro, including a blood analyst named Dexter Morgan, could shape the lab story on the back end. Curiosity loop? Would that really have moved the needle, or would Dexter's cleanliness still beat her? Keep that question hot. We will pay it off when we reach the phone records and the port trap in Season 7, Episode 12. Set the table with what she had before the slide. Season 6, Episode 12. Deborah walks into the church and sees Dexter kill Travis. LaGuerta does not know that, but the story architecture does. Season 7, Episode 2, back in her office, LaGuerta reopens the Bay Harbor butcher file, quietly cross-referencing signatures that were never public. Her face says it before she does. Dokes does not fit the profile, but someone with access to evidence, scenes, and boats does. The camera keeps showing Dexter near the periphery. Helpful, calm, almost too calm. Pattern interrupt. If that is true, then why not confront Dexter head on? Because the show has already taught you how he performs under pressure. He does not crack, he adapts. Confrontation benefits him, procedure traps him. Here is the fix the episode practically screams for. When LaGuerta lifts that slide in Season 7, Episode 1, she should have sealed it, signed it, then walked it out of the building. A blind submission to a state lab under an unrelated case number would have produced a clean report on its content and construction. The Bay Harbor butcher trophy detail is not probative by itself, but its existence outside Miami. Metro's custody breaks Dexter's feedback loop. It denies him foreknowledge. That matters when your suspect is your evidence guy. Receipt 2 tightens the hinge. Season 7, Episode 2, she begins discreet questions, including a cautious approach to Tom Matthews. He waves her off. This is where politics eats procedure. The better play was a parallel path. Keep Matthews warm while initiating a judicially sealed grand jury subpoena for camera coverage at the Marina and for the slip assigned to Dexter's boat. In Season 2, the task force once used Marina eyes to hunt the butcher. Even if those specific cameras are gone, the habit of leveraging the docks exists in-world. A sealed pull keeps Dexter blind to what she is fishing for. Curiosity loop. What would that Marina look see that coworkers miss? Payoff later when we talk about Hector Estrada and a man who cannot resist the place where his origin story started. Watch LaGuerta work the room. She plays polite, she stays measured, but the show keeps giving her tiny cuts of data that point the same way. The difference between a suspicion and a case is not more cleverness, it is fewer opportunities for the suspect to read your mail. Love or hate LaGuerta's politics, she is a good cop. She just needed to stop being a Miami Metro cop for 1 week. Ethics line while we sharpen the knife. We are not glamorizing violence or trial by ambush. This is about craft, logic, and how a real chain of custody removes charisma from the equation. Receipt 3 is the quiet earthquake. Season 7, episode 11, LaGuerta pulls phone and fuel records and places Deborah near the burned church on the night of the fire. The show stages it like office drama, but in court that is a leveraged document. If the slide had been logged blind at a state lab in season 7, episode 1, and the church night proximity hit LaGuerta's desk under seal in season 7, episode 11, she could have done the one thing Dexter cannot counter with charm. Separate the siblings in a compelled, recorded, attorney-present twin interview under internal affairs protocols. You do that before you play with Hector Estrada, not after. Pattern interrupt. If that is true, then why did she chase Estrada first? Because story gravity is strong, LaGuerta knows the shipping container myth and wants poetic justice. That is exactly why the fix works. Move poetry to the closing argument, let procedure do the killing. Keep your eye on the clock. In about a minute, we will go into the port and the trap and show you the exact beat where LaGuerta gave Dexter time to turn her plan into his alibi. For now, feel the micro vignette. Night office, blinds half closed, LaGuerta alone with a caseboard, pin lights on plastic, her thumb running the edge of that slide box like it might whisper back. Here is the payoff to our first loop. Would any of this have beaten a man as careful as Dexter? Yes, because the slide in season 7, episode 1 is a signature no civilian knows. A blind lab confirms it exists. Phone and fuel records in season 7, episode 11 put Deborah near the arson. The moment you separate them under IA, with counsel, you force their stories into daylight. Dexter's superpower is coaching Deborah in private. Procedure breaks that power. If either one lies while confronted with an external lab's report, LaGuerta does not need a confession. She needs contradictions. Contradictions lead to warrants, and warrants lead to boats. Type, "I saw the receipts." If you will rewatch the burned church discovery and imagine that slide going to a lab, Dexter does not control. We are just getting started. In part 2, we run LaGuerta's actual choices through 2 more receipts, then lay out the counter theory that she never had enough and test it against the port finale. Blue sirens bounce off corrugated steel. A crane chain clinks against a mast. We are at the port now, where justice and theater smashed into each other. Season 7, episode 12. LaGuerta stages a shipping container sting with Hector Estrada as bait, and Dexter converts her setup into his proof of persecution. The scene is hot with irony. It is also where her case bleeds out, and it is fixable on paper. Receipt 4 is that port sting itself. Season 7, episode 12. LaGuerta arranges Estrada's release, follows a path she believes Dexter cannot resist, and walks into a container with a camera and a warrant in her pocket. It looks brave because it is, but it is the wrong kind of brave. The right kind is boring. Wire Estrada thoroughly, put a long lens on Dexter's route to the docks, and keep LaGuerta physically away from the pinch so she can sign every affidavit as a clean affiant. If she is the witness and the architect and the arresting officer, Dexter only needs to impeach her. If she is the clean paper behind a team that never tips its hand, Dexter needs to beat a stack of sworn people and an audio record that does not care if he smiles. Curiosity loop. Would Estrada actually wear a wire, or would he balk? Hold that. We will pay it off with the man's favorite currency and a name that scares him more than Dexter's, Laura Moser. Before the port, LaGuerta makes 2 more consequential moves. Season 7, episode 11, she pulls phone and credit data that place Deborah near the church fire. Season 7. Episode 11 also includes her decision to loop Tom Matthews in on Dexter as a person of interest. Matthews is a political heatsink, which is why she chooses him. He is also Dexter's protector by temperament and history. Every conversation with Matthews should have been treated as an audience with opposing counsel. She needed his signature, not his counsel. The path here is counterintuitive. You flatter him, get him to sign a neutral memo authorizing a routine audit of evidence handling practices, and you use that memo to farm out blind lab work. You keep your real theory out of his mouth until the warrants are cold served. Pattern interrupt. If that is true, then why does the show make Matthews feel like her only way through the politics? because it is a story about family and institutions and how the wrong ally costs you the right process. The shot of Matthews on the boat is the thesis. It is also the warning. Let us test the loudest counter theory honestly. LaGuerta never had enough to win. Dexter is too clean. Even with a blind lab, she cannot beat him. Test it against the receipts we have and the ones the show gives us if we reorder them. Season 7, Episode 1, Blind Lab confirms the slide exists and is consistent with a private signature. Season 7, Episode 11, Phone and fuel records place Deborah near the arson. Season 7, Episode 12. LaGuerta catches Dexter at the port enough to arrest him once, even under the flawed plan, and he slithers free by turning her proximity into motive. Now imagine the same port trap with two differences. One, Estrada is wired and has already given a sworn proffer that he killed Laura Moser and that the child who survived was named Dexter. Two, LaGuerta is not in the container. She is in a van, listening, while two different officers make the stop and two different techs collect the tape. Now the courtroom does not hinge on her, it hinges on chain. Back to Estrada and the wire. Would he wear one? He would if you buy him off with the only thing he values, distance. Offer him a transfer and a new identity in exchange for a sworn proffer about Laura Moser and the shipping container massacre, taken with counsel, present and recorded before any meeting with Dexter. You do not need him to testify at trial. You need him to justify warrants. With a proffer in hand and a blind lab slide, a judge will sign a narrowly tailored search of Dexter's boat and storage. If you find nothing, you retreat to your phone contradictions and live to fight. If you find anything, you do not need poetry at the port. You have hard surfaces and a judge's signature on your side. Micro vignette. Picture LaGuerta again, late, fluorescent lights buzzing. She holds a pen over a request form she has never filed before, a blind submission that will go to a lab she does not know on a case number that is not hers. Her hand hovers, then she presses. That is the moment she wins, not the moment she stares down Dexter in a container. Curiosity loop payoff. Why bring Laura Moser into it at all? Because that name is the one thing Estrada fears, and because it connects the port myth to an actual homicide series, the state can care about independent of professional pride. A sworn proffer about killing Laura Moser plus a slide that should not exist plus Deborah's phone proximity equals probable cause that does not require a confession. You do not need the kill room, you need the pattern. Ethics line, as promised, before we head into the darkest receipt. The shipping container ending is a tragedy. We're here to analyze the investigative craft, not to glamorize anyone's death. The point of this autopsy is that good procedure saves lives by making gunpoint showdowns unnecessary. Now the strongest receipt lands. Season 7, Episode 12, the final container scene where Deborah shoots LaGuerta. The show frames it as a moral car crash, which it is, but it is also the brutal proof of our case theory. By putting herself in the kill box, LaGuerta creates a moment where two people who love Dexter have to choose between law and family. If she is in a van 2 blocks away while other people do the stop on a warrant, justified by a blind lab and a proffer, Deborah never has to pull that trigger. There is no choose him or me. There is just paper. Type I saw the receipts if you will rewatch the port trap with the extraneous bravery removed and the boring bravery installed. In part 3, we lock the argument against the best opposing take, map a step-by-step that fits only what the show gives us, and close with a verdict that echoes the hook. Let us Steelman the opposition one more time. Even if LaGuerta ran it perfectly, Dexter would have stayed 2 moves ahead. He is the boat. He is the lab. He is the alibi. The show gives you 5 receipts that say otherwise when you sequence them with discipline. Receipt 1 we have used as our keystone. Season 7, Episode 1, LaGuerta finds a Bay Harbor butcher slide at the burned church. That is a non-public signature. If logged blind, it becomes an external artifact no colleague can quietly influence. Receipt 2 is the context that explains why that slide is not a fluke. Season 6, Episode 12. Deborah watches Dexter kill Travis in the church. LaGuerta does not know this, but the viewer knows the slide exists because Dexter took it. That is a narrative guarantee that the blind lab will report something real, not a plant. Receipt 3 puts pressure on the sibling axis. Season 7, Episode 11, LaGuerta's phone and fuel pulls put Deborah near the arson night. In a sealed IA, twin interview, with counsel present and with the blind lab report on the table, you do not try to wring a confession. You ask short chronology questions and you watch for deviations. If any answer conflicts with external data, you have perjury pressure, which gets you what you actually need, a narrow warrant. Receipt 4 is the legal hinge. Season 7, Episode 11 into Season 7, Episode 12. Instead of immediately baiting Dexter with Estrada on LaGuerta's hip, you proffer Estrada with counsel about Laura Moser on tape. That proffer connects Dexter to a homicide category that predates the Bay Harbor butcher case, which widens your probable cause without relying on office politics. You are not accusing a coworker. You are following a sworn admission and a blind lab result. Receipt 5 is your courtroom shield. Season 7, Episode 12, the port sting executed by other officers, with audio from the wired cooperator and with LaGuerta nowhere near the physical arrest. That way, when Dexter tries to turn motive and proximity against her, she is not the state's witness. The process is. He can grimace. Paper does not care. Pattern interrupt. If that is true, then why did the show write it the other way? Because drama loves the container where it all began, and tragedy loves a woman who reaches for justice with her own hand. Our job is to say the quiet legal part aloud. The thing that makes good television makes bad evidence. Micro vignette to humanize the motive. Imagine LaGuerta at Dokes' memorial back in Season 2. The weight in her shoulders is not grief alone, it is professional shame. She did not save the one colleague who saw Dexter clearly. Years later, the slide in Season 7, Episode 1, is not just glass, it is a second chance to honor a friend without myth. That is what drives her to the port. That is why the fix hurts to admit. She needed to be less heroic to be more right. Now, the promised step-by-step that uses only what the show gives you and nothing invented. Step 1, Season 7, Episode 1, Blind Lab. The slide outside Miami-Dade under a dummy case number with a sealed grand jury cover. Step 2, Season 7, Episode 2, treat Matthews like a stamp, not a strategist. Use his memo to audit evidence, not to debate suspects. Step 3, Season 7, Episode 11, serve sealed subpoenas for phone, fuel, and Marina records, then conduct a twin IA. Interview with Dexter and Deborah, counsel present on chronology only. Step 4, Season 7, Episode 11, proffer Hector Estrada on Laura Moser with his attorney present, recorded in full. Step 5, Season 7, Episode 12, let other officers execute a narrow warrant at the port while LaGuerta stays off stage to guard the chain. No hero shots, no speeches. Just tape and signatures. Curiosity loop payoff. Earlier we asked whether the Marina eyes matter. They do for a quiet reason. Dexter's past is maritime, his dump sites, his ritual prep. Even if you catch nothing overt, the absence of his boat on a night, the records say he fueled, plus a call pattern that puts him near the port is circumstantial connective tissue. You do not wave it in a suspect's face, you bring it to a judge. Judges read patterns for a living. Ethics line, one last time. We are not cheerleading for a win that ends in handcuffs for sport. The people in this story are damaged, and the harm they do is real. The point is that Kraft could have prevented the night where a sister shot a captain to save a brother. Time to echo the hook with our strongest receipt. Season 7, Episode 1. LaGuerta's hand on that slide is the moment the case was winnable. Not because glass convicts. Because blind process prevents a murderer from reading your playbook. The finale does not need a gun if the pilot paperwork is boring and perfect. Type, I saw the receipts, if you will. Rewatch the burned church, the phone pulls, and the port sting with this legal sequence in mind. Verdict. LaGuerta did almost everything right, but she kept her slide where Dexter lives. If she had walked that glass out under a blind chain, separated the Morgans under sealed IA, and let paper, not proximity, spring the port, her case does not need a confession, a kill room, or a tragic shot. it wins on the thing. Dexter Cannot Charm, procedure. Subscribe to Scene Autopsy, where we solve television mysteries with receipts.